Actually, the singer of the song this morning is a really good friend of mine. We've known each other for well over 30 years, Mr. Carl McGregor. Carl and his lovely wife, Carol, are good friends of mine and Alison's. In fact, we were out for Caribbean food on Wednesday evening together, had a brilliant time. Not so sure that everybody in the restaurant was aware of social distancing, but there you go, but we were anyway. But we have got Carl McGregor in the house, as it were, via Zoom right now. So I am going to hand over to him and just welcome him to the screen. Hopefully he'll come up live. Carl, are you there?
I'm here, Leon. Hi, can you hear me?
Brilliant, brilliant. Great to see you, my friend. Oh, look at you, cool. Now, we did a little test about 2 hours ago, and you look a lot brighter, mate, than you did 2 hours ago.
I was, you know, the lights were on, but nobody was home.
Yeah, that is about right, because you're a musician, mate, and so, you know, you don't really do early mornings, do you?
I don't do mornings, mate. No, yeah. I don't do mornings. Carol has this thing where my wife, she'll wake up in the morning and she's ready to go. And she knows now, after 38 years of marriage, she knows now. Don't have a conversation with Carl first thing in the morning.
So are you grumpy, mate, in the morning, or are you just silent? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Can I just say something before we get into the serious kind of conversation? It was great having you sing that song, mate. Lovely, Dan. I know when I asked you to do it, you were like, yeah, because you've sung it a lot of times. But what was great is that when we were recording that, you know, and the band were playing, obviously we were all social distancing and obeying the rules. But as the music went on, mate, you know where I'm going with this, don't you? You got so into it and so excited that you started moving towards Dan, and you were going to put your arm around Dan, and then Dan was backing away from you. And no, social distancing. But that was just because the music got you, mate, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? And what can you say?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we just. Music just takes over, you know, and you think, okay, you know. Yeah. Rock and roll,
mate. Come on.
Hi, Carl. Really good to see you. We have met before, but I just wanted to ask you, and I'm sure Leon already knows this because you're great mates with him, but I personally don't know this. How did you get into music right at the beginning, all of those years ago? What led you into your musical career?
Oh, my goodness. From my earliest memory, I don't know if you can hear me. There's a helicopter going.
No, it's good.
Yeah, that's living in Wolverhampton, mate. That is, isn't it? Helicopters.
The police chopper.
Yeah.
No, my earliest memory was just filled with music. My dad was a pastor of a church before I was born, really, and he was always playing, him and my mum were always playing records. The house was always full of music, and we didn't have a TV. You know, we didn't get a TV until I was about 12. Right. We got our first TV. Wow. So the gramophone, do you remember the old gramophones?
Yeah.
That was playing all the time. Yeah, so yeah, it was, and then of course when we went to church, you know, there was always music, live music, and there was always a live band, and I think it was even before the days of regular praise and worship. There's another one. Of course, something's kicking off.
Yeah, if you're in Wolverhampton, you need to start praying or start behaving yourself.
No, it's an air ambulance.
Oh,
air ambulance.
Okay.
No, wow. So going to church, there was always and this. I'm going back to the '60s now, where there was a full band, singers, and so I just used to watch the musicians just all the time, and of course I was just drawn to the drums.
Yeah.
And the drummer at the time, Brother Elliot, he was called, and because in black churches, everybody's known as Brother so and so and Brother or Pastor Evans.
Absolutely, mate.
So Brother Elliot used to be the drummer, and I used to watch him really carefully, and then I used to get my mom's combs. My mom still tells that story today. I used to get my mom's combs, pretend they were drumsticks, and get the chairs around and just be
Wow.
living daylights out of the, ruining upholstery.
Brilliant. Wow.
So that was my music.
Sure.
How you started, yeah.
And I know you are a drummer, Carl, but you also play other instruments as well and sing, and you're very talented. Listen, over the last 40 or so years, you've been involved with a lot of very, well-known Christian artists and other people as well. People that some of our, people that are tuning in would know. What are some of your musical kind of highlights? Just looking back over the last 4. I know there's so many. We've only got a few minutes, but just pick out 2 or 3 of, for you that were like, wow, that's a moment, that's a memory that I'm going to, and maybe something that you're going to be grateful for. We heard this morning about, forget not God's benefits, and the power of gratitude. As you look back over 40 years, what are some musical memories that you're really grateful for?
Wow, yeah, that there's just so many to think of. But I think I want to try and tell this story quickly because it is a very long story, but I want to try and shorten it as much as I can. I started playing at church, keyboards and drums in particular, and we had a choir. Some people would remember Remission Gospel Choir, but we started as we were a children's choir when we started, and I was the drummer, and sometimes a keyboard player as well, but. Our youth leader, it was a Friday night during the hot summer of 1976. I'll never forget this. It was because gospel music, that's all we used to listen to. We weren't allowed to listen to anything secular. So the idea of singing Lovely Day in a church would be heresy, But gospel music had a very specific sound, church sound, and that was it. That was the genre. And then our youth leader, one Friday night, she came and she says, "Guys, I want to do this song. It's a song an album that has just come out by an American guy called Andre Crouch and the Disciples." And she put this song on. It was one of those old small cassette players, and she pressed play, put the microphone. And this sound came out, and it was just like, I'd never heard anything like it in my life. It had Billy Preston on the organ playing the solo on the Hammond organ. And the sound of the choir, it was just like, and it was like the best way I can describe it. It was like, when you see those scenes where it goes from black and white to color.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
Wow.
All of a sudden, my world, my
that's amazing.
just changed completely. And everything that from that day, Andre and Sandra Crouch, his twin sister, and their group, the Disciples, we got to find out, and they were the #1 group in the world. And they started singing. They started singing at the Grammy, getting Grammy awards and doing vocal arrangements for Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson.
Wow.
So Man in the Mirror?
Yeah.
Michael Jackson? That's them.
Wow.
That's them. That big choir sound, right?
Wow.
So I just wanted to meet the guy, because it was, for me, it would have been like meeting Elvis. And then in 1980, I got to meet him on the tour, and it was just like, and we just hit it off. We just really, really hit it off. And I said, I want to play for you someday.
Come on.
He laughed. And he says, oh, okay, yeah, because his drummer was my hero as well, Bill Maxwell. Yeah. And then a few years later, 13 years later, in 1993, we're doing a festival in Barbados.
As you do.
Yeah,
as you do.
Gospel festival.
Shucks.
And it was like, it was we spent a week out there. It was brilliant. But topping the bill was Andre Crouch.
Wow.
And we supported them. So we're sound checking. We're just having a bit of a jam session. Andre and the group walks in, and he's by the stage, and he's watching me play. And he comes up to me and says, "Carl, He said, that's the first time I've ever heard you play.
Wow.
I said, yeah. He says, you can play, man. You can play. So he said, so Sandra, his sister, says, Carl, would you like to play for us tonight?
No way.
Wow.
And I said, she said to me, do you know Andre's songs? I said, do I know Andre's songs?
Yeah.
Because they had a drummer that had come with another group, and they were going to use him, but apparently the rehearsal the day before didn't go too well.
Wow.
So she said, we'd like you to play from what we heard in the jam session. So no rehearsal.
No rehearsal, stop it.
No rehearsal. And we just, because obviously I knew the songs. The bass player was the MD, and he's a guy called Andrew Goucher, one of the best bass players in the world. Incredible bass player. And it was just...
Wow. What
I tell you who played guitar.
Wow.
Go on then.
Sorry? I tell you who played guitar. Do you remember Ian Price?
Yeah, I know Ian, yeah.
Ian Skip Price.
Yeah,
he was with us, and they didn't have a guitarist, so they asked him to play as well.
Did they? He would have blended in really well, wouldn't he? He's a ginger white kid from Birmingham, isn't he?
Interestingly enough, a lot of Andre's bands back in the day were white.
Oh, were they?
He was one of the first gospel artists to have white musicians.
That would have been radical.
Very, very, very radical.
Wow, mate.
That's probably my highlight. Really.
Yeah, those are great memories. And as you're saying that, I'm just thinking, you did a festival in Barbados, and I also had a band, and we did a festival in Quarry Bank. So it's a very different musical journey that you and I have been on there, really. Just a final question, Carl. In what these days we've been living in, obviously coronavirus, lockdown, and I know we've spoken a lot about this when we had a in the middle conversation, which by the way is on my new website called thethingsofleon.co.uk. So I've just set up a website with blogs and podcasts, and our conversations on there, and you talk a lot about the impact of Black Lives Matter and about what's happening, with racial injustice, and I know that's you're very passionate about that, your family, your girls, your community, and we're passionate about that with you guys as well. But you've also seen music used powerfully, haven't you? Just a final question, in what ways have you seen, the power of music that transcends just, that's a great song and that's a great vibe, but actually does something tangible, to touch human lives and hearts and attitudes and bring change?
I think the most powerful thing is seeing somebody come to faith through music. That's the most powerful thing, firstly. Secondly, in terms of the Black Lives Matter and movement and the message, not so much the organisation, but the message of, with all the tragedies that's been going on, the injustice. We did a few years ago. I was involved in a big project called One Voice, and we recorded a song back in 2010 at Abbey Road Studios.
Wow!
And everybody from the gospel community was there, black and white, and Asian, and it was such an amazing. So people like Graham Kendrick, Martin Smith was there. Wow. People from the London Community Gospel Choir, and the great and the good. It was amazing. But we recorded a song called "Somebody Help Me Please" to raise money for the victims of the Haiti earthquake. Yes. This year, about 2 or 3 months ago, during lockdown, after the murder of George Floyd, the producers re-released the song and put a video to it. Wow. And it was all about Black Lives Matter, and they got people from every race, young and old, singing to camera, and it was so powerful. Right in the middle, there's a line that says, hear my voice, be my justice. Wow. And then the screen, and then an image of George Floyd comes up. It's so really, really powerful. Wow. I don't know if you've got a clip of that. Yeah, we were chatting about it this morning, weren't we? And so our guys have just worked their wizardry, and hopefully we're going to show you guys just a little bit of a clip from this song. Here we go.
my voice.
Hear my justice. Oh.
Somebody come, somebody please.
Somebody come to my rescue. Somebody come.
Somebody please. Somebody pray.
Wow. You can just tell, can't you, just from those few seconds, you know, just how powerful that could be. Carl, that looks amazing. What's it called again if people want to find it? Carl?
It's called
Somebody Please. Yeah,
Somebody Please Help Me by the One Voice Collective.
Yeah, it's Somebody Please Hear Our Voice, One Voice Collective.
Right.
Yeah. So guys, if you want it, you can find it on YouTube. Somebody Please Hear Our Voice, One Voice Collective. Carl, it's been amazing to chat with you, my friend. Love having you involved. Thank you so much for bringing that song to us today. You know, just to set the feel and I think God's used that. You know, just one look at you and the world's all right with me. And hey, you know, when we can connect that to our faith as well, that's powerful, isn't it? Mate, we love you. Thank you so much.
And I'm not wearing a Wolves top today.
I know. That's Carl's usually wearing a Wolves top, really. So I had a little pop at him this morning, so he's gone and changed. You've just turned it round the other way, haven't you? It's got the Wolves badge on the back.
If anything offends thy brother.
That's it, yes. Take it away. Absolutely. God bless you, mate. Great to see you. Love to Carol. Take care. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you, matey. Fantastic. Bye-bye.